Welcome to the Badass Direct Sales Mastery Podcast with your direct sales dom, Jenny Bellinger. Badass Direct Sales Mastery is a podcast for rock star direct sales moms who are determined to make their business kick ass. Jenny will share her knowledge of effective sales and recruiting techniques, tips to get what you want from your business, and will interview direct sales professionals and leaders from various companies. The interviews will give insight to how these rock stars got to where they are and where they plan to grow in the future. And now, the direct sales dom, Jenny Bellinger.
Welcome back to another episode of the Badass Direct Sales Mastery Podcast, everybody. I am here with another level 5 Rodan Fields representative today. She is an amazing leader. She's been in this business for 5 years. I'm going to move my notes here so I can see. She's been in this business for 5 years, and because she was looking for a more flexible way to create some income. Before that, she had been an occupational therapist and has now turned mompreneur with her Rodan Fields business. She switched up because she wanted to work on her own terms, create an income from home, and be a present mom. And therefore, as we all know, all the things. We can all relate to that for sure. Stacie Luter started her business, built it brick by brick, and was able to retire at the age of 38 from the healthcare industry thanks to this side gig of hers. She also enjoys the lake life with her family and is the fellow mom of a horse-loving young lady. We both have that in common. So mine just hasn't started the horse riding lessons yet, but she will be very soon. She is super excited. So welcome to the show, Stacie.
Thank you so much, Jenny. I'm so excited to be here, and we'll have to remedy that horse riding thing. She can come out anytime and ride ours. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much for that invitation.
Yeah.
Obviously, y'all can tell Stacie and I live close to each other. Well, within an hour of each other, I think, based on where you are. But Stacie, tell us a little bit about how you got started in Rodan Fields.
Yeah. So I love to tell people that I was one of those people who said I would never do a business like this. I actually had a friend years ago. I loved buying candles from her. And she at one point said to me, like, you should do this. And it was never even a thought in my mind. I was a very career-driven person. I'm an occupational therapist, as you said, and was enjoying really just growing my career path and really climbing the corporate ladder. But Rodan Fields really started for me at the point that A, I had children, and B, my husband took a full-time traveling position. So I was in corporate America healthcare. I had a big job as a director of a rehab hospital in St. Louis. And then he was going to be gone all the time. And so we decided together as a family that it made sense for us that I would step back to a part-time role back in the hospital setting so that I had more flexibility to be there for my kids. And so we did that for several years. But the truth of the matter is it was the loss of the income that just impacted us after 2 kids and a couple of years of living on 1.5 salaries. We never really adjusted our lifestyle. So we were eating away at a lot of our investments in order to have this, lifestyle that worked for us, but just financially it was taking a toll. So I was looking for ways to make additional income, and I wanted the ability to be able to earn an income from home. So that way when my kids, I put them in bed at night, I had a couple of hours, I can do something. But unfortunately, being an OT, it requires me to be at a hospital or at a clinic to take care of patients to earn a paycheck. So I was open. I was looking for something different. And a friend of mine, our daughters were friends together in kindergarten, shared with me about her business. And when she said, I have a business with Rodan Fields, I was like, what? I know those names. I know they're the Proactive doctors. I use Proactive. I've always struggled with acne personally, but I had no idea that they had another business and that they, with a new product line, and that they let people partner with them. So I immediately said to myself, I'll never do something like that, and dismissed it. But I kept coming back to it. My friend would touch base with me when I'd see her at Girl Scouts or whatever. And I would say, yeah, you know what, like, we'll go out, we'll have a drink. Like, you can talk to me about this. And then I would come home and I would Google MLM. What does that mean? It's a pyramid scheme. And I would tell my husband, I'm never doing this. And it became a joke between my husband and I, because I was going out with my friend for another night to talk through the concerns that I had about this. And I said to him, this is the night I'm going to break up with her. Like, I'm breaking up with her. I'm telling her I'm not doing this. And I came home and I was talking with him about the things that I learned. And he finally said, like, whatever it is that you decide to do, I support you in this, but just make a decision. And he was right. Like, I knew that our life wasn't going to change unless I was willing to do something different. I could go back, I could get a full-time job and solve that financial situation, but I was going to be right back in the same place that I was before he started traveling full-time, of managing a 40-hour-a-week plus job, kids, house, life, right? I didn't want that. I loved that flexibility that I had, and I wanted to keep that, but solve the financial side of it. So after about 4 months of hesitating, I finally jumped in, and I've never looked back. It's been the best decision of my life, by all means. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, I mentioned that you are a level 5 leader with Rodan Fields. Can you explain to everybody what that means? Because, of course, those titles mean something to us when we're in a company, but it rarely means anything to people outside of the company. So can you explain a level 5?
Sure. So in Rodan Fields, we have different levels. Like you said, all companies do and have their different titles. And level 5 is really means that I've built another team of women underneath of me who are building and growing successful businesses as well. So it was a real honor when I first hit that level, because the statistics will show you that only about 2% of people in the company will reach that level. So it meant a lot to me, because I have from day one treated my business like a business. People a lot of times refer to it as a side hustle. And at first, yes, it was something that I did on the side because I was still working and, taking care of my kids. But that consistent effort and treating my business like a business, showing up for it every single day, is what led me to that level 5 level, which brought in an income that replaced the income that I had from the hospital and gave me the opportunity to be able to retire.
That's awesome. Because I have to say, as a direct sales coach, one of the number one goals that my clients have when they come to me is that they want to replace their income at their job, whatever that may be, whether it's teacher, nurse, or even if they're a stay-at-home mom and they're like, I got to bring in some money somehow, right? But a lot of people come to me with that goal of wanting to replace that income. So hearing from somebody who's actually done it is going to be a treat for a lot of my listeners, because that's what they want to do.
Awesome.
So in going through that journey of getting to the point of replacing your income, approximately how long did it take you to get to that point from the time that you really started the business to where that income was replaced and you felt comfortable leaving the OT job?
Yeah. So almost 2 years to the date. And it was really an interesting just time, I think, in my career. There was transitions that were happening at my place of employment. And I remember driving to work and listening to certain books, like Jen Sincero, You're a Badass, one of my favorites. And I will never forget, I would drive to work and I'd pray for a way to be able to be home more and, walk away from this job that just wasn't fulfilling me anymore. And I loved my business and I wanted to dedicate, more time to it. And I listened to Jen Sincero's words, and she said, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you need to be an entrepreneur. And then my company was going through a buyout, actually. And the buyout was actually a really great thing for the company that was buying us out. It would have been a fantastic transition, but I just felt like it was like God knocking like on my head saying, it's time. Like, it is time. I had surpassed the income that I was making from the hospital. And we were like double dipping, I guess you could say. So we had my income from the hospital plus what I was bringing in, from the business. And so that gave us the opportunity to pay down a lot of, debts that we had. And the timing it felt right. There wasn't they called us in to let us know about the buyout, and everybody started looking at each other. And I knew right then and there, I was like, this is my sign. Like it is time. And so they said, are you going to stay on? And I said, no, I'm not. And so I stayed on until the day of the transition. And then I retired at the age of 38. So
that's amazing. Congratulations. That must feel really
Thank
good
you.
to be able to say that's where you are. Because so few people can say that they've retired from their first career before age 60, let alone before age 40. That's fabulous.
Yeah, it is. For me, it's a really a powerful concept, because I came into this business having very little belief that it was going to work for me. I didn't think that people would buy products from me, that people would join me on this journey. And this journey for me has been about developing that mindset and that belief. So to see that it's actually made an impact on my family's, lives, is just the best thing, honestly, that's ever happened to me, because it's proof that this can work for anybody who is willing to do the work consistently and develop the mindset that goes along with it.
Well, what's interesting is, you've obviously listened to the podcast before, and one of the questions I generally ask are, what are some of the obstacles and what's the secret to success? It sounds like your obstacle and your secret to success are kind of wrapped into the same thing. Because you said, at first, I didn't believe that this was going to work, which is really interesting, because when I started my direct sales business in 2010, I knew 100%. I was like, this is going to work, and I'm going to go all the way, and I went into it with a complete, all in 150% mindset. I was not going to let myself give up. So where did you see that obstacle, that belief obstacle? Where did it shift and why?
So the belief for me shifted about a year into the business. And I would say for sure, my biggest obstacle in this business has been my own mind, my own self-limitations that I have given myself. And so I was about a year into the business. I had reached a certain level 2, if you will. And I was reaching out to my sponsors and my coaches and my mentors in the business, saying, I'm not happy with where I am. Like, I want to be, here, and I'm not there, and I'm not growing, and, help me. And one of my sponsors, we had a coaching call, and she, asked me all different kinds of things. And she ultimately said to me, Stacie, she said, you don't believe. And she said, this isn't happening, and you're not growing where you want to be because you don't believe. And I was very put off by her comment to me.
I imagine that.
I was very put off. And I think because she was right, like she hit the nail on the head, but it just at a very personal level. And so my life changed at that moment when I realized, okay, I don't believe. How do I grow belief? Like how does one develop belief? And my Rodan Fields journey kind of grew a parallel journey of this very personal development journey for myself. And when I talk about my business and I tell people that it's changed my life, this business, many people think, oh, well, because you're retired and you get to be at home, and the money's probably nice, and you get to go on these great trips and met these wonderful people. And yes, those are all wonderful things that have happened because of this business. But this business has changed my life because it's given me a new mindset, a new approach to life, a new awareness about how powerful our thoughts are. And many of us are just going through life surviving and basically playing victims to our own circumstances, and believing that we don't have a way to change that. And that was me. 1 year into the business, I had actually reached a pretty good level within the company. I was, earning a consistent paycheck and building customers and team members, but it wasn't going as fast as I wanted it to. And my mind was focused on all that wasn't happening. That's all I could see. All I could see was the customer that didn't want to reorder, or maybe the customer who sent back their products, or the team member who finally joined and then did nothing. And so I was focusing so much on what wasn't working instead of focusing on the things that I wanted this business to do for myself and for other people.
Absolutely. I agree that that's a really big focus for a lot of people, because I hear that a lot. Like, I have this going on and this going on. And so, as a coach, I always redirect people into that. Okay, so what did happen this week that was good? What did happen? Let's focus on that, and let's learn from this thing that didn't happen, right? Because there's always something you can learn. And I'm willing to bet that if you went back and looked at all of the people who didn't do the business, who didn't work their business, it was probably because, number one, their values weren't aligned with yours. They didn't have the same value set that you did. They did not really connect with you in that way. And they just weren't self-starters, right? So it was looking for the right team members, which is kind of hard, because when you're in a business like direct sales, you really don't often know your team members super well, especially once you get to a certain level, right?
Sure.
You don't know them very well before you ask them to join or give them the opportunity to start their own business. So it's really kind of a little bit of a leap of faith, but when done in such a way that you know what your values are and can align them with the values that they've exhibited and shown off to you as a customer or a client, then being able to say, you know what, this is somebody I really want to work with, because she feels this way, she acts this way, and that's the kind of person that I want on my team. And so you're not offering it to anybody and everybody, right? Because when you offer to anybody and everybody, you're going to get the pain in the asses too, right? The ones who every time they call or text, you're like, oh, not again, right?
Yes.
They have questions, but they're not doing, right? They want to know information, but they're not doing. They have lots of information, but they're not doing, right? And that's always sometimes a struggle in that leadership position, right?
Absolutely.
So that's your obstacle. And so then the mindset shift into this belief and understanding and knowing how powerful your thoughts are. Would you say that's your secret to success?
Absolutely. My secret to success. I nickname myself the mindset mentor. If you ever look at anything I'm reading or listening to, it's all about, mindset and cultivating that a positive mindset. I even got to, my background is psychology before occupational therapy. So you could major in biology or psychology. So I majored in psychology and then went on to occupational therapy. And so now I'm back into the psychology of the human brain and how it works. And it's just so intriguing to me, that like how our brains are wired and the amount of negative thoughts that our brains produce on a daily basis, and the same repeated negative thoughts day after day after day. And when I will never forget listening to a book, driving to the lake, and I heard these statistics about the negative thoughts in our head. And I literally cried, like tears, because I thought, oh my gosh, you're saying that it's not just me. Like this is how we're wired as humans. And it gave me the power, I think, to understand that I can choose to change those thoughts. Like I didn't have to listen to them. Right. And that has been, again, just the biggest blessing that has come to me from this business. And so now I'm raising an 11-year-old tween, right? Getting ready to go through a major life change. And she's dealing with some big, powerful emotions and hormones. And I have a new approach for how I can try to help her manage those things and help her understand, what is happening, and maybe hopefully adopt a different mindset from it. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, I don't often get to do this, but I'm going to share something with you that will hopefully help make that whole transition easier. Because now I haven't been through it myself, but I do remember going through that as an educator, because I was a teacher back in the day of middle schoolers. So I had a bunch of kids who were going through that, and I wish I would have had this book back then. So funny. It happens to be right here. It's called Emotional Genius. It's by Scott Conway. And what it does is it teaches you, number one, what your emotions are, like gives you verbiage around all of that. But it also, what's really cool about this book is the fact that it tells you that your negative emotions are your friends that teach you about yourself and what's going on around you. And so it totally changes how you approach those emotional conversations, because then when you can teach your child to start from that place of, okay, this is how I'm feeling and this is what it feels like in my body. So what that tells me is it's this kind of emotion. Oh, I wish I would have had that back when I was a teacher. That would have been so helpful.
Yes. Yes. Well, I love it.
Yeah.
And you can guarantee it will be purchased this evening.
I'm sure. And, I think it's just great because when you're in that position where you can actually identify because here's the thing, what's interesting is I'm really good at being able to identify emotions in other people. I suck at identifying emotions in myself. Isn't that crazy? Like, and I'm sure I can't be the only one who's like that. Like I can look at someone and be like, oh, they are not in a good place right now. And they are feeling scared and intimidated and like I can name all the things. And they're like, how'd you know that? And then when it comes to me and I'm going through something that's less than positive, I go, this sucks. I'm just going to kind of, so I got that book because I met the author and he was teaching me all this. And I was like, oh, I need this. I need this for me, if not for anybody else. I need it for me, right?
Yeah, so, I love it. Thanks for sharing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what would you say as a leader are some of the obstacles that you're facing now with either yourself, your personal business, or your team?
I think as a leader and also in life, the biggest obstacle for me right now is, again, a lot of my personal development. I am a Enneagram type 1, so I'm a perfectionist and I'm a fixer and a doer. And so when I'm working with people in this business, I want to help them. I want to fix their problems. When my daughter comes home from a horse show and she's upset about something, I want to fix it for her. And I'm learning through all of my readings and my, personal development journey that I'm placed here on this earth to control this and be the best of this. And by doing that, that is how I will change the world. And so by being a role model and not saying that it's not my place to offer a tip or a suggestion at a moment in time that it's appropriate, but releasing that burden that I used to feel on my own shoulders that, oh, so-and-so Susie's not doing well in her business because she doesn't have the time and I need to help her figure out how to prioritize this business in her day, has been very, it's been very freeing and very a sense of relief, I think, from it. But that's a day-to-day challenge for me, to remember that I am not here to fix anybody else. I am here to be the best version of myself, to show up as that best version of myself. And that's how the light is going to shine through to me and to other people and how I'll be able to help.
Oh, that's phenomenal. I love that you're able to take that piece of yourself, that self-knowledge, and turn that into, like I said, you wrap your obstacles right into your secrets for success, which is not very many people are very good at doing that, if they can do it at all, right? Is be able to take that. It's for most people, that obstacle or that weakness is something that they're often ashamed or they feel guilty around it. And so they, number one, don't want to identify it. And number two, they don't know how to fix it or turn it into a strength. So the fact that you're already starting to do that is absolutely huge and fantastic for you. So I think that's so super cool. So you also mentioned, as we were talking in our pre-interview, that you have a little gift for people if they want to reach out to you. Would you like to share, everybody, what your gift is for those who want to reach out more about you and your business?
Absolutely. Well, anybody who might be intrigued at a opportunity to create a side business that could potentially, if they desired, turn into something full-time. I would love to offer you just a very light and casual conversation. I'm not in this business to convince anybody to do it, but I'll share with you honestly and authentically what the journey has been for me. And I'm not where I want to be yet in this business. I'm still working and growing and building and developing. But then I haven't talked much at all about the skincare. So Rodan Fields is a skincare company. And it's because we have these incredible skincare products that actually work and change people's skin. That is why I'm able to do what I do today and run my business from home and able to be there for my kids. So I would love to give you a free skincare products. I can talk with you about what would be right for your skin and make a recommendation. And I'd love to gift you with a sample if you are, willing to reach out and be brave and just meet a new friend and have a conversation.
I think that's phenomenal because, not everybody is able to offer those kinds of opportunities to try it before you buy it. I think that's a really important thing in today's modern society. We're so scared to step out on a limb and buy things without either having reviews or being able to sample it ourselves, right? And I know from not only my clients in Rodan Fields, but also from the previous interviews that when people try it, they want it, right? They want it. So I highly recommend that you reach out to Stacie. And Stacie did let me know that she would prefer a text message when you want to reach out to her. So I am going to put her phone number in the show notes. But really quickly, I'm going to say it now. If you guys have a piece of paper, because you're sitting there going, I want the free sample. I want the free sample, right? I want to have a conversation with Stacie because if you want to replace your income, having a discussion with Stacie, somebody who's actually replaced their income, is a great place to start. So I would recommend you text Stacie. Her number is 314-704-6297. So you can text her. Again, I'm going to put that phone number in the show notes so you guys can find that information, click it directly from your cell phone and send her a quick text message. Or she said, she's even willing to accept a phone call in this day and age. Shockingly, a phone call, people.
Shocking. Yes. Yeah.
I really want to thank you for being on the podcast today, Stacie. Is there anything that you would like to share with our listeners before we go?
No, I just wanted to say thank you to you, Jenny, for what you do. My other passion that parallels with this business is really educating the world and the community about what network marketing is. As I said, I had some preconceived notions before I got started. And I hear it consistently in my business when somebody in Rodan Fields is doing a training call. They usually always tell you how they personally got started. And I would say over 85% of them say, I said I was never going to do this. And so there are these notions out there that people have about this industry that are based upon, fiction or other people's experiences. And so I just love to do what you're doing and help show the world that this does work for anybody who is willing to do the work that it takes to build it.
Well, absolutely. And I love, so since you're a psychology person, you and I know why it is that people who say, I swore I was never going to do this, those are oftentimes the people who are the most successful. And the psychology behind it is the fact that they swore they were never going to do it. Well, now they've done it. So now they cannot fail. They will not allow, am I right? It's
so true.
It's this, I swore I was never going to do this. So I must succeed. So I will do anything and everything. I will jump in both feet into the deep end. There's none of this dipping my toe, wading in slowly stuff. Yep. They are often the ones who go full force, full on. They're reading the books. They're listening to the podcasts. They're doing whatever it takes to make sure that they succeed because I swore I was never going to do this.
Never going to do this. Yep. And that was me. I've had my challenges in this business for sure. And I've had thoughts about wanting to quit at times, but I always go back to the fact that it was posted on social media the day that I joined this business that I was doing it. So now I'm in.
Right.
I'm going nowhere. I am going to make this happen.
Absolutely. So and one of the things I want to share with you, and you're welcome to share this with your future team members and when you share this episode, and I want the listeners to know this as well. when I started my direct sales business in 2010, I made the commitment to myself that I was never allowed to make a decision about whether to stay or go when my business wasn't like rocking. Like I was not allowed to leave when the chips were down. Because
best advice ever.
I knew that if I allowed myself that opportunity to sneak out the back door when things weren't going well, that might be something I would actually do. So I said, here's the deal. I'm only allowed to decide whether to stay or go when I'm at the top. And so when I made the decision to leave my business for coaching, I had a team that was working. I was doing well. I was a trip earner, all the little check boxes. I had them all. And so it was one of those things where I went, I'm going where my passion lies, right? So it's making that mindset, that decision of I'm only allowed to leave if I'm on top.
Yep.
Because guess what?
I've heard
most people won't.
Yes. I love it. Great advice.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Stacie. And don't forget, everybody, if you would like to reach out to Stacie, she is going to be in the Badass Direct Sales Mastery community available for you to connect with as well. So you can text her or reach out to her in the community. And if you're not in the community, why not? This is the great place for you to get accountability, for you to get the information that you need, and to connect with all of these leaders who are on the podcast, who are ready and willing to share their knowledge, their experience to help you grow as well. So thank you, everybody, for listening. And if you want to join the community, make sure you jump over to badassdirectsalesmastery.com, click the Join the Community button. And because you're a listener of the podcast, you're going to get in at special preferred pricing. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy the next Badass episode.
Thanks for listening to the Badass Direct Sales Mastery Podcast with your direct sales dom, Jenny Bellinger. Why are you waiting to go to badassdirectsalesmastery.com? Don't make the dom get her whip. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to share it with another rock star that you know in direct sales after you subscribe to the podcast so you won't miss any future episodes. You can also check out the show notes for links and any contact information mentioned in today's episode. We'll see you next time.